everyone. Welcome to the Book Over, a little book club where we talk about books, especially ones that give us those book hangovers. I'm Sarah, and with me is Megan.
Hi.
And today we are talking about the new series, Pretty Little Dead Girl by E.M. Moore. So we're going to be talking about the prequel book, Hush Hush, and then the first book in the series, which is called Pretty Secrets. Okay. Yeah. So I just Hush Hush. You do not have to read Hush Hush to enjoy Pretty Secrets.
Mm-hmm.
But I highly, highly, highly recommend reading Hush Hush first because it gives you so much
insight into the world, into basically what propels the next story, what propels the main character. And they give you just enough to where you know more than the main character does, which is it's very interesting that you know more than her in a mystery series, but you still don't know what happened. It's like the perfect mix. It was very smart the way that E.M. Moore wrote it.
Yes. So I had no clue.
Compelling.
Yeah.
I had no clue either.
I had no clue
going into Hush Hush.
Yes.
Do you think that it was like the prequel? I mean, it was in an anthology originally, and then she published it separately. So knowing it was in an anthology, I thought, well, a lot of times anthologies are like, and prequels, they'll just give you like the start of the book. Yeah. So I was like, is this going to be the start of the book, or is this just a prequel? Like, so I was thinking it was following the same characters that were going to be in this series.
Me too.
I did figure it out like halfway through. I'm like, maybe this is not what I think it is.
So I didn't figure it out, and we'll talk about it at the end of the talking about it, because it does end on a cliffhanger, and it wasn't until I started reading Pretty Secrets that I was like, oh. Because, you know, when things like that, and any listener who's read Hush Hush, when things like how it ends, sometimes it's not really what you think it is.
Oh yeah, like you think that maybe she didn't. We can say it, right? Well,
okay. So it starts out, and what this book was very classic bully romance to me. It was classic. You know, we have Delilah, and she's in love with this a-hole, Keegan, who she's arranged marriage to, but they grew up as kids. She's known him her whole life, and she knows that he can be this awesome, sweet guy, but he's been a dick to her, really. Yeah. He's a jerk. He's cheated on her. He hasn't treated her right. And I am curious, because we know with the families and this like society and everything, and you know that things are expected to be a certain way and the men act a certain way. And so sometimes I'm wondering if Keegan wasn't acting the way he was to try to push her away. She is a daughter. Her father only has daughters. There's Delilah and then her sister Eden. And because Delilah is the oldest, she's planning on being the next in line on the father's business. She's planning on being part of the secret society. She's still going for it, even though she's not a man. And so I'm wondering if Keegan knew how corrupt and horrible things were, that he was just trying to push her away to not have her get mixed up in it all. You know, I think it was a little bit of
that. I think, and also like as the story goes on, I think we see that he's a little insecure and that she is so great at all this stuff. And he's grown up in this world where women are this thing. They're not even when they are in business positions, like in their world, in that there's no other women in the secret society. In their world, that's not how women are. And I think it was too much for him at first. And he realized, you know, he got his head out of his ass, but it took some time. So I think he was intimidated by her, and he did want her to be more submissive to him. And I do agree. I do think that deep down he knew it was a corrupt society and not meant for her.
I believe he's kind of admitted that when they finally work things out. So as things are progressing through it, you know, he states that she's a virgin, and it kind of snowballed on his end. It was more to like embarrass and propel things, and then it made it like guys start coming out and giving her a hard time, and hey, I'll take care of that problem. And it turned into a problem. She ends up with like a stalker, and all these bad things start happening, and he's realizing he shouldn't have done that, and that he wants to protect her. So I like that. I liked when he started, you know, he was still harsh with her, but like it's I mean, we all like those a-holes, right? Like
yeah. And then when they get protective like that.
Yeah.
And
So
then
no, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, so like well, we see her and her sister, like they're on a boat trip. You know, he's kind of, you know, he wants to do it with her. She doesn't want to do it yet. She wants it to be right. She wants them to be in a good place, like you said. So he confronts her and kind of like is pissed and like you said, like acts like admits it in the heat of the moment. It gets taken too far. And so I was thinking, because his cousin Devin was so close with them, I'm thinking in my head originally, okay, this is going to be a reverse harem, so it's going to be like him, it's going to be Devin, and it's going to be like this coffee guy Tim. That's what's in my head. That's what
I was thinking too, because I knew that this series was an RH. Yes. So I was thinking, oh, Tim, coffee shop, Devin, cousin, and Keegan. Like, this is how. And then I'm reading it, and I'm like, this isn't.
No, it wasn't. Although Devin, he did seem very close.
Yes.
Then I want to revisit Devin, so please don't let me forget about Devin, because I want to revisit this character of Devin. I think probably for the same reason you are too. But okay, so yeah, so it's snowballing. He even gets her in trouble with the society, which is a big deal. So that does make me wonder. He's still a fledgling like her. They're on the same level, so maybe he doesn't know exactly how corrupt they are, because I think he'd be even more trying to get her out of the society if he had known just how corrupt they were, because like, and it wouldn't have got her in trouble like that. But yeah, it forces her to be on the same committee as him to plan this like night of debauchery. So they like have these like what t-shirt contest thing that they have to go to, and she decides to like empower herself, put a mask on, and like I love how they took that empowering moment back. She's a dancer. She danced, you know, with the wet t-shirt contest, and only he could see, and it led to this like heaty, passionate, fiery moment between the two of them. I loved that, where she took the
storeroom scene.
And it made it, and I love the way that like how positive it was about the women who were doing this. They were like, yeah, it's good money. I feel empowered doing it. I really like the way it was handled.
And Dee figured that out too, because at first she didn't like it, but then she found out on stage how empowering it is. And then when she takes them to the storeroom, or when they end up in the storeroom and she gives them head, like it made her feel empowered too. And she's like, wow. Yeah. And I was like, good for you, girl. Like, yes, you're in charge.
I loved that she had those great moments of just self-discovery. And I also love that in that scene in the bathroom, I thought the girls were going to be mean to her. They weren't mean to her. They didn't know that she was a judge. They just thought she was any old girl, and they were like supportive and nice to each other.
Which blew my mind, because girls are not, we're not nice to each other a lot of the time. And so I was I was actually kind of like, wait, why are they being nice? Like, I was
you're right.
I was like, wait, what is this? Yeah. But, and, you know, and what I think it was great too is that these were girls from a different college. So they didn't know like all the things that what is going on with her at the other college. They didn't know who she was. So I think that was really, really good. So can we talk about Devin really quick? I mean, okay, well, really quick, there's Tim, the coffee shop guy. Yes. She makes a pass at him to get under Keegan's. I'm saying, I don't know.
It's Keegan, yeah.
Yeah, his skin, you know, and she's like, maybe I'll lose my virginity to him. It doesn't have to be you, you know. And so this guy is like really nice and kind of worried about her too, because he's seen how like this guy, like people aren't treating her right and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, so like he did give me some weird vibes. I'm keeping my eye on him, but I think he might have been a genuinely nice guy.
Me too. I think he's a red herring. Yeah. I think he's a nice guy.
Yeah.
You think, but that's the thing. You're meant to question Tim if he could possibly be, which I'm going to get to, this like stalkery guy who like left her a note. But
I don't think, you know who I think the stalkery guy is.
Are you going to say Devin?
Yes.
Because okay, well, so I'm going to go a little bit into the other series now, because Devin wasn't mentioned at all in the other series. Okay. So I'm like, where's Devin? I thought he was going to be part of the harem. I thought he was going to, like, I'm just confused
Okay,
So I'm like, where's Devin? He has to come back. He has to come into play,
well,
right?
so he's gonna be a surprise, I think, because so Devin, he's a black sheep. He's the cousin. The only reason he's there is because of generosity of Keegan's dad, right?
Yeah.
Like, so he's gotta be a little bitter about stuff, but he is like bro-ish with Keegan. So, and he was nice to that's I thought for sure he's gonna be with
They were like great friends with her. Like he was so supportive. I did not suspect anything nefarious. In fact, I did not suspect him as the bad guy until you just said it. I was just thinking
it's possible
pop up. That's interesting.
What if he pops up as one of their knights or kings? Knights? The secret.
No. Well, no, I think okay. So when you're in college, okay, they're fledglings. Are you a fledgling the whole time in college? When do you become a knight? After you graduate?
I don't know. But I'm wondering. I'm wondering. Okay, so it ends tragically. Let's just talk about the ending here. So Keegan and Dee get together and they work things out and they have this wonderful time. They're on this island that's like owned by the secret society for this party that weekend. And she's running around doing her thing, but they have this night. She loses her virginity to him. It's wonderful. He makes it good for her. They talk about how he's gonna own the island. No, something about the castle. What was it? Astor Castle and Forbes Island. They have this future talk, like, you know, like when you talk about kids of your significant other or whatever. It's super sweet. They're like lovey-dovey. She's got to run off circle. And it's so like you're happy for them, right? And then you are summons for a meeting and shit goes down. They're attacking her, like all the men are betting on who gets to have her first because they all think she's still a virgin.
It's the virgin thing coming back again where they're like, oh, she's a virgin. We're gonna, and like every guy, they say, here's the thing. I think they think every member's there. And I'm curious, like, was every member there? Every member there was her father. So that has me wondering if a certain member from the next series was there or not.
So I don't know. And then like, because Keegan's dad's there and he was creepy old man vibes, right? But then she runs away from them. She's terrified of water. And then she ends up in the water of the river and held down.
And because she, in her past, that's something, we forgot about that. That's when she loved Steven when they were kids. So I don't know if she doesn't know how to, in my mind, she doesn't know how to swim because she had a near drowning experience when she was very young. So in my mind, she was always scared of the water. So that's why she didn't know how to swim. That's what I'm thinking. So I'm thinking maybe she didn't know how to swim. Right. So she drowns. I mean, it really does come full circle. I feel like I love that she got to experience so much in a short amount of time in this book. She gets to get together with Keegan. Keegan redeems himself enough, I think, in my eyes. Like he admits stuff to her. It's really well done. Yes. And then she dies.
Yeah. So you don't know. The book ends with her in the water. She's looking at blurry people. She thinks she sees Keegan. She thinks she sees Keegan, but she's already, it's cold water. Who knows? And then she's like, and then it goes out. So that's the end of the book. Her, though. Someone did put, so
she's running away from them. She's getting out of this situation where they're like pawing at her, trying to get at her. So she's running away from them, and then she's like on the dock, and then someone pushes her. So we don't know who. We don't definitely know. Society is evil, and they are trying to like rape her. So they're bad.
I shouldn't laugh. But the thing is like when I ended that book, I've read so many books where like the person's like, and everything goes dark or whatever. And then you read the next book and they're not real dead. They're in the hospital, they survived, whatever. So I'm reading the next book and it's Eden. And I'm like, wait, Eden, it's not Delilah. And then I'm like, oh, she's at a funeral. I'm like, is it a fake funeral? I'm like, it's not a fake funeral. And I'm like, no, she really did die. It took me luckily enough, one after the other. I didn't take a break. It was just boom, boom.
Okay.
But I was not expecting that because it went, like you said, full circle. So I was like, okay, we're full circle. I'm happy for them. She's going to survive this. And then this whole series is going to be her being there still and taking revenge on them, trying to do what they tried to do to her.
Yeah, like taking down the secret
Yes.
society.
Yes.
Maybe you find out Keegan, she doesn't trust him anymore, so she's getting with other guys. Yes, that's what you think. By the end, though, I did know she was dead. I did know by that time. I saw it becoming more MF. I forget at what point I had a feeling that was going to happen, but I had a feeling. Gosh, I wish I could pinpoint it. And then I thought, okay, I thought it's gonna be the sister, because the way that she was mentioned. So but it took a while for that. So that was a trip. And I think I'm like, it's intentional, Ian Moore. You did a great job.
Very good job. Very good.
Very good job.
And that's why I highly recommend you read Hush Hush. And then the thing though, like she says when she's drowning that she looks up and she sees like the cloaked figures up on the dock or whatever. And then she sees Keegan looking down at her. So it makes you think that Keegan did something. But I was like, he couldn't have. He loved her. Like they were already they were in that love bubble and it wasn't fake. It could not be fake. I will be heartbroken if we find out it was fake. But I now reading the next book, I'm like, it was not fake. He's absolutely wrecked over this.
He's wrecked. And
so if he witnessed it, then he must have been held back.
I think that he saw her in the water.
I think he saw her in the water and thought she was already gone. Or I think Devin, who's his cousin, through water, she's already like panicked, was there. What if Devin did it to get in with the knights?
Because he, like you said, was just given what he was given because of his uncle. That's an interesting thought. I did not.
And that just came to me like when we were talking earlier. I'm just curious on if he's going to show up later as part of the knights somehow. Because there's been a couple of times where we're like, oh, I know that voice, but they won't say who. They won't name that knight.
That's interesting. That's interesting. I didn't pick up on that. I did pick up on when they were presenting the characters. I thought Devin was going to be a main character. I thought he was going to be like an ally. Like, he wasn't there. I thought like he'll be in the harem. I thought Tim might be in the harem. And then it's like, nope, they throw you for a loop. It's Oliver who was vaguely mentioned, briefly mentioned.
Briefly.
And then I like these characters. Okay, so I have a wonder. I have something I want to happen. I don't think it's going to happen, but just let me throw it at you real quick.
Yes.
Keegan. Okay, Keegan joining the harem. Okay. Keegan joining he's distraught. How would that happen? How would she get with her distraught sister's ex that she thinks is crap? How would that happen? Here's my proposition for Ian Moore, I don't know, or my like crazy theory. Some kind of night thing where he like saves her or something happens and he like saves her and pulls her out. They have to go to like a safe house or something. Yeah. They have to go to like a safe house or something and they're like stuck together for like separated from the other harem members and they're stuck together and they form some kind of bond because they're like forced proximity to each other in some way.
Yes.
That would be cool. I would be here for that. I don't know why I thought
okay with that. Yeah. I would like to see more of him because we see him being kidnapped. We see glimpse of him. Yeah. We know he's wrecked. We know he's tortured. I know that Eden's still not fully sure if he's fully telling the truth about it. He's trying to get Eden. So Eden, her sister, takes over. She goes to the college. She's trying to be part of the Knights so she can figure out what happened to her sister. She knows her sister would have not gone near the water. She didn't have to. She's like, something is wrong here. Somebody murdered my sister, and she's trying to figure it out.
Yeah, they're nefarious. Yeah.
So I could, maybe that could happen. I'm not expecting it, but I could see because of how the book ended for Pretty Secrets. Maybe he's helps her in that new situation, which I don't want to give away. Yeah,
I think that new situation. I know we're already hitting we always do this with the ending, but I think that it's going to be like you said, how you thought the last one was going to end. Like you think it's a fake out, you know what I mean?
I think it is a fake out. Okay.
It's the test and they pull her out and they're like, oh, congratulations, you're now a fledgling or whatever.
Right.
And then she'll be pissed at she'll be pissed at the other people like Leon, whatever. And
because Leo's there.
Yeah, well, they're all there. I think they're all there, but they
can't them there, and they make comments.
But I think it's
maybe we should maybe we should tell our listeners what we're talking about, and hopefully you've read the book. But So, we go through all this stuff and we'll backtrack everybody, but the ending, we need to rename the podcast to Ending First.
Yeah. Oh, I like that.
So, she's going through these trials for the knights and she gets kidnapped and then she wakes up hanging upside down over the water. And then eventually, she gets into the river, the same river that her sister drowned in. Mm-hmm. So, and we find out we know that Leo's grandfather, who's also a knight, is asking Leo to keep eyes on Eden.
He's the bad guy,
and Leo's a black sheep of the family as well, and has issues with his grandfather and stuff. There's a lot of unknown.
The knights.
There's a lot of secrets going on that we're gonna, I'm sure, find out. But they do mention that Leo's the one that found her, got them to her, and that Leo, and then something oh, she doesn't know. So I have a feeling that Leo's gonna need to fix things. He's definitely gonna need to fix things. And if Keegan's there, I think Keegan's gonna be the one that pulls her out of the water, because I think he's gonna be so traumatized seeing that he's gonna be the one that pulls her out.
That would be interesting.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know if Oliver's there.
He's there, but he's going through a trial too, I thought. That's my impression.
Can I just say, I love all three of these guys. And there was a lot of steamy scenes.
Yeah.
There was a lot of steamy scenes that I'm like, oh my gosh, this is good. This was good. And Oliver, I loved how he figured out Eden doesn't want to be the princess. Eden needs this a-hole take control thing. And the first scene we get of Oliver and her together, and she's asleep and he starts touching her, right? Just gave me back. And I know these are two separate authors and everything, totally gave me Killer vibes from the Lords.
Oh,
and I was like, I love this. I was I highlighted it and I'm like, Killer vibes. Yes. I just, if anyone who's read this book and read the other one, you know what I'm talking about. I was like, I love it. And then the professor, Alaric, he's definitely, I cannot figure out why he's there. What's his deal? Besides, he admitted that he's there
for other reasons. He got upset about the paternity thing that they had to do as a challenge. He got really upset. Do you remember? Mm-hmm. And then I think that I'm wondering, was he there when her sister died? Maybe he witnessed that and that was the final straw, but then he got so pissed over this other issue. So there's something going on. And he does allude to, in his POVs, knowing more about how they need to lay everything on the table. And then I think he knows more and he wonders what Eden suspects. So I think he knows more about that situation as well. And he knows that she is not there necessarily to take on her sisters. They all think she's there to fill her sister's footsteps, but really it's to,
And so I love that. And I love that it hasn't yet happened where they're everyone has talked and everybody knows what's what and knows her plan. I like that Oliver knows.
Yeah. I like that there's a character. There's one guy. I love the fact there's someone we know who's on her side no matter what. We don't have to question him. It makes it easier to read a book when you have a character like that. And he's not, like you said, he's not the good guy. He'll make it rough, after that challenge, he's my pride, you know what I mean? Yeah. So yeah, I loved that.
Yeah. But I am really curious because I want to see when it does something. I think something major is going to have to happen for them to finally be fully trusting of the whole group and to finally be lay our cards out. Why, something's going to happen.
There was definitely more progress than I thought was made this book. I do wonder how much Eden's going to take personally. I don't know. I keep seeing it as it's a challenge. There's nothing they can do. Even Leo has to play his part. I think I'm not mad at Leo. I think he has to play his part. I think that they said the final challenge is about fear. I think Leo's finally, and even in his POV, I think he admitted he cares about her. And I think he's going to he doesn't care about being a knight anymore. When going into it, that's all he cared about. I think that he's playing both sides.
But he even was saying how he wasn't updating his grandfather, who's giving them like one word responses, and how, because for some reason he didn't, I love it when like characters like men like that are like, they don't realize that they're falling for the girl. And he's like, but for some reason I feel bad about that. And for some reason I'm not, telling all of our secrets. And it's like, dude. And I love it though. I love bringing men down to their knees like that. And so I love that he's like, well, I'm not telling him. And also he doesn't like his grandfather. His grandfather is a horrible, horrible person. And oh my gosh, the thing with Marie Anne.
Oh.
Or is it Anne? Whatever.
With the father in the room. That's what made it.
Queen, the grandfather, to test her out for his cousin.
Yeah.
To marry her.
Marry into the family.
What guy is okay with that? Grandpa, sleep with my possible bride to make sure she's good enough. Whoa there. Who's okay with that? And that kind of really tells you what that society is all about, what the women are made for. And for a woman to be okay with that, to social climb.
Yeah. And okay, so that also brings us to like Eden confronting her father. And then you have to wonder, how much does her father know? Because they said that the father wasn't there. The father, you generally think that the father doesn't want to believe the society killed her, but come on. He has to know. And you would think that he wouldn't.
If he's stuck, he's definitely has to be stuck somehow, because he was like, don't hurt her when they took her.
Yeah, and he knew that they were going to take her.
He knew that she was going to be taken that night, and he wasn't going to watch it. Yeah.
But it was for a trial. So I think in his mind, he's like, it's just part of it. It's just part of being it. She wants to be treated like the rest of them. She has to go through the trial. Mm-hmm. So he's viewing his daughters as men, but he has to realize that everyone else in that society is viewing them as women. Yeah. They're not they're so far from progressive. Yeah. So I think the father's in denial, but you also have to wonder, like, how deep into crap is he? There's gotta be something else to it. And they were saying, like, okay, so Leo's father married for love and not in the society, so he was cast aside, and that's why Leo is not thought of as like the heir, because his mom was, I guess, like trashy or something. It sounds like the grandfather like did something to his parents, and he found them, and
that's why going to that house to rescue Eden tore him apart. And and then the fact that Alaric knew, kind of, and so when she was like, this is deal, and it's like, so I actually really like Alaric. He feels like he's gonna be that middle ground guy that's like, well, try to help everybody see everybody's side. Oh, okay. Professor in the classroom scene
under the desk. I didn't see that coming. I did not see that coming. I was like, okay then.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, where did she go? And then this clingy girl, and I love it. I love that she's getting jealous of these girls hanging on the guys and stuff. And then that she did that, and he's trying to teach class. And then the poor student that was trying to present, and he was just like, I'm done. Get out.
He's like, he could have been teaching the class better than me.
It was a good scene. And then I love how Leo shows up, and then he's then he says a comment, because he's such a classic a-hole, that he says this comment and storms off. And it's like, at some point Leo's gonna have to learn to not storm off, and to actually, like, I think that's when we're gonna know that he's like really in it, is when he like realizes that he needs to take a deep breath and actually like say without yelling, or without being mean.
Exactly. And he gives me Johnny Rockets vibes from Ian Moore's Uppercut Princess series, High School, which I love.
On her Facebook page, when she was writing this, she was saying these guys are giving her Johnny Rocket vibes. It was like all of them were giving her,
which I love. That's what I need. I need a harem of Johnny Rockets, please. That's perfect.
Yeah, Johnny.
Yeah, they're all. I like that. I'm excited to get more from our professor. And because I was thinking, I was wondering, I was like, what? He's a professor? Why would a knight that's supposed to be like the top of society be a professor? Because I was like, well, I mean, maybe he just wants to live his best life then. But I'm like, yeah, he's got to be like some kind of plant. And yeah, he's there for a reason. I'm excited to see that. I love all the mystery. I really do.
I do too. Like, it's good. It's really good. Just from
better and better too.
The prequel on
Yeah.
It's
Ooh,
so good. And so yeah, I'm curious on where we pick up on the second book.
yeah.
And
Is
that
Kim
book comes out
is the
June.
stalker? Will the stalker start stalking her?
Mhm.
Will they, once she does the trials, are they going to try to go after her the way they went after her sister? Do they know? There's so many questions. Do they know what she's after? Who killed the sister? Where is Tim going to come into play? Is Devin going to come into play? Is Keegan going to join? Maybe Devin. I just have a feeling that this is going to be one of those books that some other character comes out of nowhere and joins the harem.
And so that's it. Like you were saying, Brink, coming back to Devin. Like, so I have my theories about Devin. Do you think Devin's gonna show up? Because he hasn't been like we've seen Tim a little bit. We've seen
Been
Keegan,
mentioned.
but no mention of Devin. That's why I'm wondering where he is, because he was like, I would think he would be close to Keegan because he's so
Like helping him through
him through it. So I'm wondering if that's why he's did something and they're not.
I don't know why that didn't occur to me. I just remember thinking, I wonder if Devin will come in later and be part of that.
I really liked Devin. He seemed really nice, but he seemed.
But that's a really good theory that he might be the one that like was the stalker. But that doesn't mean he necessarily killed her. He could have just been the stalker, and the killer might not be one and the same. I mean,
Because they sent like that condom that the stalker sent to the
yeah.
lab, supposedly, right? Because he's like, oh, dad took care of it. I'm wondering if it wasn't somebody they know, and that's why they brushed it under, because they're like, oh no, nothing showed up. So I'm like, I'm wondering if like, what if it was Keegan's dad? What if it
Yeah, and like maybe the lab caught it.
I mean, I don't think so, because that's just gross. I mean, all of it's gross, but like
could be. I don't know. There's some weird stuff with these dads. These dads, and Keegan's dad was gross. Like he was going for Keegan's girl. I mean, I don't know.
Well, yeah, and that makes, because of like the whole Leo's grandpa thing, testing out the person. I'm like, was Keegan's dad thinking that he gets to test her out? Like that's not
Oh
okay.
my gosh, you're right. You're right. I mean, and that's that they were bidding on the virginity, so that yeah. I think
And
he
then
probably
that's the thing, it's like, gosh, like it's just like regrets, right? Like if Keegan never said that. Like
yeah.
if he knows what caused all of that, who knows
Oh
what
my
he knows.
God. I don't think he knows about that part, right? Well,
Like,
we don't think he does. I think he thinks something bad I think he knows that they're bad and that they're the reason, but I don't think he knows necessarily that whole event.
well, yeah, because she did leave him. Going back to Hush Hush, Dee did
Yeah.
leave him that message on her way to the meeting, like, hey, I got summons to a meeting, I'll see you later, or whatever. Like she did call him to tell him.
Yeah.
So I mean, he definitely knows that was the last thing he ever heard from her. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh,
I just
so good.
they need to I wish he would have been more forthcoming. I guess he wants to protect them, like when they kidnapped him, but he did pass out. So maybe he would have if he didn't pass out.
Yeah.
I like that they did that though, because it does get frustrating in books when you're like, okay, this character has so many answers and we're never gonna hear from them.
I love that Oliver did that for her.
I know. I did not expect that from Oliver. I'm expecting the confrontation. He's like, he's just casually reading a book with him tied up. I'm like, yeah, Oliver.
I love Oliver, you guys. I love him. I just love that. That scene right there, how she was destroyed. She's like, we slept together and now our friendship's over. And he left he just left me a note. And then he's like, come here. And she shows up and he's just reading a book. And then here's Keegan tied up.
And it was just with the staff. The staff was so funny. He's like, the staff is thought I've gone crazy.
I just love that Oliver did that. But he's so, and I love that she calls him what, number 5 or 5th or
yeah, because he's 5th in line for the crown.
I love that. I love that so much that he was like, what's wrong with this? You wanted answers. He has answers. And then when he passes out, he's like, well, I guess we return him.
So great.
I love the comedy in it. I just love
right. That was really, really well done. I'm loving this series.
Yes. And so the next book, which is called Lovely Deceit, will be released at the beginning of June, or is currently scheduled for early June. I don't know if things will change, or I don't know. I'm not the writer, but according to Kindle,
according to Amazon,
June 1st is when the next book is out. So
very exciting.
I'm really excited. Okay. Do you have a hair of the book for this one?
Oh, do I have a hair of the book? You know what? I have the book that I think I'd recommend, like if you're reading it, but that's for the group later. Hair. Do you have a hair of the book, Sarah?
I do, and it's actually just an audiobook, and I was telling Megan actually about it before we started recording. So I am listening to the Sinners and Saints box set for the complete series, whatever you want to call it, on Audible. Auditable. It's really good because it's, what's it called, Megan, when they
duet narration.
It's duet narration. And I've never listened to that before. So it really brings like a new level to the series. And I'm enjoying it. It's very high school bully stories, but it's a good one. It's a good, it went well with this, and then it's just like a good way to like move on.
I would recommend, I think, for this series, if you haven't read The Heights Crew, to read that by Ian Moore. I think that's like an excellent series to read. There's so many secret society like books that I'm a big fan. I haven't read one quite done like this. I really love the way this one's done. But I think I would say that Heights Crew. I don't know what to read next. I've been in a bit of a book slump, so honestly, I don't know. I'm like, I need some hair of the book recommendations. Myself.
Well, then move on to Heights Crew. There you go.
Maybe I should. Yeah, I might do that. I did recently read for the Arc of Forget Me Not Bombshell, which is good. I recommend that. Anything Caroline Suzanne, good. It's a good standalone reverse harem, very long, which I always enjoy. So I think that's a good palate cleanser. It's got darkness and action, but it's all contained in one book. So I think that's a good palate cleanser.
Yeah, that's good.
Because my palate cleansers are dark.
Yeah, they are. I love it. All right, everyone. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed the books, and we will see you next time on the Book Over. Bye.
Bye.